3 up, 2 across, tap that play button 3 times, and walk through the archway into Dialogue Alley. Hello, and welcome to Dialogue Alley, the official Potter Collector podcast about Harry Potter books, book translations, and all other things magical. I'm Eric.
I'm Carly.
And it's Erik and Carly, and it's a really bizarre scenario why it's just Erik and Carly.
The whole thing is weird.
It's so weird. So, just a quick recap. Last week when we recorded, I was in California at Disneyland with my family, so Carly and Melanie recorded a fantastic episode. However, Carly had
my audio decided to, glitch out on me, and I didn't know it was glitching until after we had recorded. And it was a fabulous episode. It really was.
It was. So, the whole episode, it was the same audio issue that happened 2 episodes ago when Harrison was on, but it wasn't as bad that episode, but this one was just unlistenable. So, I did upload the episode for our Patreon, so if you do subscribe to us on Patreon, you can listen to that episode, and it's listenable, but I don't think any of the 3 of us, or the 4 of us, including Peter, were comfortable just releasing that episode because it was really not up to the quality that we were used to putting out for all of you.
No, it was really frustrating for me. So now I'm actually watching my audio so closely. It's funny.
Well, and the funny part for me is I came back and I thought I'd have this nice break where I didn't have to do an episode. And then Melanie Melanie's pregnant and she's also not feeling well. She said feels like she has the suds from SpongeBob, which you and I both thought was a hilarious reference because we got it right away. Then Melanie's actually not able to re-record this episode with Carly. So now I am recording it with Carly about the conversation that you and Melanie had last week when I was at Disneyland.
And I'd even said I wish Eric could chime in on his point of view on this whole MinaLima thing, and now here we are. I didn't mean for it to be the way that it happened, but here we are.
Here we are. Well, and the good thing about it is you already talked to Melanie about this, so you kind of know what some of her opinions are, so you can contribute that to this conversation as well. And I can also offer my opinion. And so, if you don't know, Carly and I and Melanie and Peter are all Harry Potter book translation collectors. We collect Harry Potter books from all over the world in many different languages. We also collect a lot of books in English in various special editions, deluxe editions, illustrated editions, and that is the topic that Carly and I are going to talk about today, specifically with the announcement from Scholastic that MinaLima will not be continuing to do the illustrated editions, books 4, 5, 6, and 7. So in lieu of any sort of other, normal episode flow, so we're not going to have a translation of the show. I want to really talk about, for the news, I want to talk about the new Epic Universe announcement for Universal Resort in Orlando, which a lot was revealed about the Ministry of Magic area with the French Ministry of Magic and the British Ministry of Magic and the ride about Umbridge's trial that you're going to the Ministry for. I'd love to dive into that, but I really want to dive into that with Peter and Melanie also, especially because Peter goes to the park so often and probably has a little bit more inside knowledge than we do. But I do know if you want to know more about that and you have not yet watched Peter's YouTube reaction video to that new trailer from Universal Epic Universe, that is on his YouTube channel, and you can check that out.
Yep.
And it's
That'll
really,
be so
I'm excited.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we may have to have a Dialogue Alley meetup there.
Oh, I'd love it. That'd be so great.
I know.
Would be so great. But unfortunately, what's not so great, Carly, is that Scholastic did not renew MinaLima for the remainder of the series. So they did book 1, 2, and 3, and they didn't commission them to do the rest, and that's just really sad.
And these, for those who are uncertain which books we're talking about, these are the illustrated interactive books by MinaLima, who are the same people who did like the props on all the Harry Potter movies. They are so interwoven into the fabric of Harry Potter fandom and universe and what we visually see. I mean, the parks are MinaLima. So much of what we associate visually with Harry Potter is MinaLima.
The Daily Prophet stuff that you've seen, the
letters that float down posters. From like in book 1, the letters that come out that just overwhelm Harry, those are MinaLima's things, and so many other things are products of MinaLima's efforts here. So,
but with that being said, the first 3 illustrated editions that they made didn't necessarily like have exact copies of the designs that they made
were a
for
different take
the
on
movies,
it.
Which was, to me, that solidified to me like, oh, they're doing this for the entire 7 books because it's not tied to the movie. It's kind of its own visual style. And we always are a big fan of continuity, right? Like, oh, it's the same people doing the illustrations. They can evolve it all the way through. And I mentioned in my intro to the Archives episode that I released a couple days ago that after the Jim Kay announcement where he was no longer able to continue those illustrated editions, which are the big, square, gigantic, gorgeous books, and just I cannot imagine how much time goes into those books. And I mean, so much so where Neil Packer had to help Jim Kay, or supplement Jim Kay's art in book 5, and then Jim Kay was not going to continue with 6 and 7. So we were all hoping like, well, that's okay because we still have the MinaLima books, and MinaLima are going to finish the whole series, and we'll have an entire 7-book set. We've already speculated like how the spines are going to look because the little castles get taller and
different.
They're
and all so different.
We've all not bought like the 2-box set, the 3-book box set, because we're like, well, we'll just wait for the 7-book box set.
I'll wait for the 7-book box, right?
And exactly. That doesn't sound like that's going to happen, at least in terms of having MinaLima be the artist. We don't know if the books are going to stay the same size, if they're going to have the same level of interactivity. We don't know if it's going to be the same illustrator crew that's doing books 4, 5, 6, 7. It could be different people for the
something
last 4.
I'd mentioned to Melanie in our last one where my audio was so horrible was that we don't know how much of this art from books 1, 2, and 3 and from the movies that the new artist may even be able to use, like legally.
Right.
Because MinaLima owns so much of the copyright on some of these things, and they're a part, like they have their own thing. I mean, I know Warner Brothers is the Harry Potter franchise, but
they have their own like corner of the store at the Harry Potter New York store.
Exactly.
Like they have a MinaLima area.
Exactly. So I don't know how much of anything would even be continued, and if that's the case, if it's going to be entirely redone, which I don't want somebody to come in and try to copy their stuff and do a poor job of it. I would rather them reimagine everything and then do books 1 through 3 in their own style, and then pick up 4 through 7, and that way it's like we talked about, continuity. It's continuous. It's a continuous thought. Things match. Because I could see, depending on how Scholastic and MinaLima, Bloomsbury, and all the big publishers left off, I could see MinaLima saying, no, that's too close to our stuff.
Yeah.
So and
this may turn into like a... Oh, go ahead.
What I was going to say, what I thought was interesting, and this was before I realized that Scholastic was the ones who probably commissioned the books as they are. I thought it was Bloomsbury, but I don't think so anymore, just based on some other stuff and our conversation earlier. I lost my train of thought.
Well, then I will talk, and maybe your train will circle back to the station. I hope
so, because it was a really good thought.
This just reminds me in a disappointing way about how they have that UK The Magic Begins box set with just the 3 books. which we've talked about. It's a lovely box set, and this is going to somewhat exist for this as well. The difference is, like, I at this point, I kind of want them to just stop and have no one else do an interactive books 4 through 7, unless, like what you said, whoever the new illustrator is just does 1 through 7.
I remember my train of thought. Finish yours and honestly, I'll go to mine.
If they have, I would almost rather at this point have a different person do 4 and a different person do 5 and a different person do 6, different person do 7, just to have it all different. I don't want like one group and then another group. I'd like them all to be very different now, instead of like 3 that are the same and 4 that are the same. But
I'm kind
like you
of
said, because of copyright, they can't be the same as the first 3.
Exactly. I'm in the same boat here. I would either, this could be a chance to highlight different illustrators, like in a big way, because they're interactive as well. Or we bring in a new group and they reimagine books 1 through 3 and 4 through 7. Because I don't, Scholastic said, don't worry, we've got somebody else to finish out the set, essentially, in their statement, which was right, a few hours after MinaLima said what they did, which was, I thought, very interesting. I thought the statement itself was, they were trying to be very political and diplomatic in how they said things, but I felt like there was some anger there, at least disappointment.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, and like we said in our conversation before recording, as far as we know, based on the statements released by Scholastic and by MinaLima on social media, MinaLima wanted to continue doing these books, and Scholastic decided not to renew them or commission them for the next one. So, it's, like I would be disappointed if you're looking forward to doing something and they said, oh, actually, we're going to not have you do it. And honestly, there has to be a reason why. I don't know if it's money. Maybe they're too expensive now that they're so, they're pretty famous. Or
that's my thoughts, is that the money was too much. And I don't think it was too much. I think their demand has gone up because of these books and because they've also increased in their notoriety. People really know who they are now. And because I remember when I used to follow them on Instagram years ago, they had like a few thousand followers, and they're way over that now.
Yeah.
So, they've definitely increased in their presence. People want their art. They want their art for other books outside of Harry Potter. That's very shown. And so their fees probably have increased. But so they're the ones who, in my opinion, visually, they are the representation of Harry Potter. If anyone could do this to completion, I feel like these books were kind of their love letter to Harry Potter, if you will. Like how they would have done something in the movies, or how they would have done the props or whatever in the movies visually, if they wouldn't have had to worry about direction from the powers that be. And I felt like this was their take on kind of like their what if. And now we don't get to see the rest of it.
Yeah, that's just super disappointing. And that's really the word for me. I'm not angry. This isn't something to get angry over. It's just something to be disappointed about. And I don't know how many people love these books. You love these books. I love these books. Melanie and Peter both love these books.
My friends at work, I got them to love these books because
my daughter loves them.
Coming up on Harry Potter, and I was like, oh my goodness, have them read these books, then go watch the movies and thank me later.
Yeah, well, and I've mentioned lots of times, these are the books that I'm reading to my daughter for the first time. So we're on Prisoner of Azkaban right now. We finished Chamber of Secrets a couple weeks ago. Now we're on Azkaban. I got it for her birthday. And she's like, well, what are we going to do after book 3? And I'm like, well,
something will be
who
there.
knows?
I don't know what.
Something will be there.
Yeah.
We can always read the Jim Kay ones, or, we could just read the regular Scholastic
the
book
usual
from my
books that we read.
Right? Exactly.
Right.
So
the ones without the fancies.
So she's almost more disappointed than I am, just because to her, that is what Harry Potter has been. Those are the only books that she's read. are these MinaLima
Oh, wow.
illustrated books. She's expecting, book 4 to have something and book 5 to have something. And she's just so excited with book 3 whenever we find the new page with the wheel that turns, or she got a little
I know.
sneak peek of the Patronus at the end of book 3 that folds out and is just shiny and shimmery, and she's like, "Whoa, what's this?" And I was like, "No, not yet. No, look at it.
We're not there yet. Don't spoil the show.
Don't spoil it." But yeah, she gets so excited about that stuff because she has no preconception of what these things are. She's coming up with these things, as she's reading the book in her mind, and just giving that slight nudge from the illustrations there, that really helps. So it's just disappointing, but maybe, I don't know. Should we take a...
I go back to what we've said a few times. The idea of anybody else being brought in to finish what MinaLima started here, I think would be very hard. Very hard. I personally wouldn't want to be that illustrator or the group of illustrators to be brought in to do that. Those are giant shoes.
Right. Exactly. We're back. So, Carly, you mentioned who's going to fill this role. And we've already been put in this position with the Jim Kay illustrated editions.
I know.
Who is going to fill in the role, especially because it was announced that Neil Packer is not going to be the person to do books 6 and 7.
I know, and I really liked his art.
I did
but
too.
I wouldn't want to follow Jim Kay singularly.
No, and that's exactly how I feel about these MinaLima books, is that, while Neil Packer's illustrations were definitely not Jim Kay's, he has a very distinct style that you can just look at the page and tell it's not Jim Kay, it's Neil Packer. But they were very complimentary, and including them in the book together, I think was really cool.
It worked so
really well. But that's not going to be the case for these next Scholastic Bloomsbury Mina. I don't know what we even call these versions now, like the interactive.
I call
illustrated
them interactive
editions, I guess,
to distinguish, because I talk about them at work. I have a lot of Potterheads at work, and actually a few who listen to the podcast. Hi, guys. And
all right.
They have actually gotten really big on the illustrated interactive train, and so when we're talking about them, we talk about the illustrated, meaning Jim Kay, and the interactive, meaning what was MinaLima.
Yeah, and I would just refer to them as the MinaLima books because that's what they were, but now I can't say that anymore. I mean, I guess I still can.
You can.
But if I'm talking about this series as a whole, it has to be the interactive.
But if they bring in a different group, and it sounds like they already have somebody lined up by Scholastic's statement that they put out a few hours after MinaLima, it sounded like they had a thought in mind anyway, because they were so confident that they would continue. So I love the spines. I've got all 3 of them actually right in front of me. And I'm looking at all 3 of them stacked together, and those spines are so perfect. And I don't want to see 4 through 7 with different spines. 1 through 3 from MinaLima need to be their own, I think, entity at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I could see people me being one of them, getting really angry if who is brought in to finish these off, 4 through 7, if they try to copy what MinaLima has done in any way, people will get angry. It needs to be entirely different in my thoughts.
That leads me to, I think, the next point I wanted to discuss, which is not necessarily the illustrations of who is coming in next, but the interactivity functionality, because that was designed by MinaLima also. It's not like they just drew the pictures. They designed how these illustrations and kind of living art, so to speak, or interactive art was going to work in the book. And I still, we always would talk about how when book 2 came out, we're like, whoa, I didn't expect them to do this in that way. We thought we'd seen it all in book 1. And then book 3 came out, and there was even more innovative ways to have things that you can pull. We just got to the part where Harry gets the monster book of monsters from Hagrid.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
pull this back thing and it chomps up and down, and it's so cool that it worked that way. And after book 3, how many more ideas are there to make a book that footprint, in a rectangle book shape, with this many cool interactive features? And I'm even was worried that MinaLima would run out of ideas for books 4 through 7, but I have no idea how someone else is going to come in and make something just as enjoyable if they can't at least use some of the inspiration from how the mechanisms in those first 3 books worked. Because frankly, I'd be all out of ideas, but then again, I'm not a graphic designer, so I don't know.
No.
But from a reader standpoint and a person with kids, it's so intuitive and it's so cool and it's so simple.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a lot of work.
Oh, yeah. These books are their own brand of magic, in my opinion. And they continued to surprise and delight their readers. And I feel like MinaLima had probably at least loosely thought out how to do, maybe not the rest of the books, but, they were definitely probably thinking about book 4, if not also book 5. And yeah. I feel just so disappointed. I wanted to see, and I go back to one of our favorite points that we wanted to see Jim Kay do that we didn't get to see, was the Weasleys in the chimney of the Dursleys when they're going to go get Harry.
Yeah.
I wanted to see how MinaLima would render that. And now I don't get to. And that was honestly when I read their statement at early in the morning, and I sent that text to you guys saying oh my goodness. That was the first thought that went through my mind is, no, I don't get to see them do that.
Well, and when you mentioned maybe they got too expensive to commission, we won't know the actual reason unless they ever release it. But these books, their suggested retail price is pretty high. It's $30 or more.
Book 3
$35
is $39.99, so $40 plus tax.
$40. But do you know anyone that paid $40 for their book 3? Because I don't. I got it on Amazon for half that. They're always at Target for half that. You can get them at Costco for probably...
Costco, Target, Walmart, Barnes & Noble. If you had the discount card, it was 20% off. I think I paid
I just don't know
$30.
if I don't know if they sold enough of these to make enough money to justify...
I'm sure they did.
Being able to pay them.
Because... I don't know. I don't know their contracts, so I can't discuss any of the legality. But they had so many publishers, and now the curiosity is if Scholastic is not going forward and other publishers not going forward, of course, if are other publishers going to continue doing 4 through 7 if Scholastic puts in a new interactive artist? I mean, I don't know. MinaLima, they had so many different translations, right? You could find Filipino,
right.
Not Filipino. I think Thai and Korean and Japanese, and I don't know about all of those, but I know that they've been German and so many different languages. I'm looking around my room at my translations, and there's so many different MinaLima translations that were done as well. And then, of course, Bloomsbury,
right.
UK. So if Scholastic uses a new artist, will Bloomsbury also use them to finish out 4 through 7? I don't know. There's so much we don't know.
I would assume yes, but...
I would hope not, out of, spite.
Spite. Ha-ha.
But that's just me.
Okay, so,
I can't promise I would buy 4 through 7 just because I'm so loyal now to MinaLima.
Right, but this leads me to, I think, what a good end to this conversation would be, is that as disappointed as I am that they are not continuing the series with MinaLima, maybe, and I'm just saying maybe, I'm throwing it out there, maybe whoever they get next is also going to do a mind-blowingly amazing, fantastic, super-duper job. We don't know that. That's what I'm sincerely hoping for, is that...
Same. And different.
It's not,
I want it to be so
right.
different we can't even confuse the two.
But here's the scenario in my brain. like a business scenario that I'm hoping is not the reason. I'm hoping that Scholastic or whoever made the decision was like, they're too expensive. We can't justify it. We're not making enough money. So we're not going to continue with them. It's not going to be financially profitable for us. I get that from a business decision. I don't want the result of that, if that was the reason, to be we're going to go with someone that's cheaper. It probably won't be as good, but it's going to save us money and we can make more money and not have to pay more for the commission.
Like the Wish version.
That would really disappoint me if the product coming out is going to be, even if the illustrations are great, if it's just not going to be as interactive. It's like maybe one thing per every 3 chapters, or there's only like, a big picture on every 10 pages or something. Like, I'm just hoping that they're not going to scale back what they've been putting out, and that the product that we get from whoever the new illustrator is just as detailed and just as full of imagery and interactive elements as the MinaLima books, just with a different illustrator.
The thing that they also now have to counter is, let's say that they were too expensive, and we're going to use that decision. They were too expensive and they can't financially justify the books. Okay. I can, business-wise, okay. But if they bring in a lackluster version to come in and finish, they also have to understand that they may not sell nearly as much. Because not only are people going to be upset that the work is different, they're going to be comparing it to MinaLima just by default. And then you have these diehard fans, not only now of Harry Potter, but also of MinaLima, who won't be buying them because of the premise. So now they have to come in with somebody, in my opinion, if they're going to continue, they have to come in with somebody who is, I don't think better is the right word, but so mind-blowingly different to make people want to buy it. Otherwise, they're not going to make money here. Yeah, they're not going to make money here.
Yeah, they should get him.
But seriously, go out to his little atelier and see if his ghost is there.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my thoughts, is they're going to have to work harder to capture not only the sales that they would have had from MinaLima, but also continue to build that audience and get new sales. I think this is a big old steep hill to try to go up. So if they just canceled because of financial things, I don't think they thought it through at all.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Like fall around, October is usually when the MinaLima books would come out, right? Yeah. So I would not be surprised if we get an announcement of at least a release date of the next one, but man, if they wait too long before they announce the next one, people are just going to forget about it.
We're going to lose interest. Yeah.
Right.
Just like with the Jim K. Like, I would love for them to finish, but nobody's expecting it anymore.
No, that's just it. Like, I haven't really thought about, I guess we'd call just the illustrated edition Half-Blood Prince, because Jim K wasn't doing it. And until this MinaLima announcement, that kind of actually made me think more about the Jim K books again. So
Same.
So that's what it takes, I guess, to get me thinking about something again. Well, I don't know. I always like to be hopeful that something new and exciting is happening, but that doesn't mean we cannot be disappointed with that news.
Or grumpy. I think I'm still in the grumpier end of it. But I'm also I'm peeved. I think that's the best word. I'm going to be hopeful that they're not going to screw it up. But I'm also peeved because I really wanted to see their version of things.
Yes. Well, and we want to know what your thoughts are, listeners. So there are lots of ways that you can share your thoughts with us. You can, find any of the 3 of us, or 4 of us, I should say, on Instagram. Carly is at All the Pretty Books. I'm at Nocturne Eric. Melanie is at the Harry Potter Collection. And, of course, Peter is at the Potter Collector. You can find this podcast on Instagram at Dialogue Alley Podcast. You can also check out our website, dialoguealley.com. You can also support us on Patreon if you'd like to get access to things like that episode that was really technically almost impossible to listen to that Carly and Melanie did. It's on there. It's on the Patreon along with other bonus episodes.
It was so frustrating.
I know. But if you want to continue this conversation with other people that care about this, our Discord, which you get access to for supporting us on Patreon, is a great place. We've had some good discussions in there already with our Patreons. So if you want to talk more about Harry Potter book translations, this MinaLima topic, anything Harry Potter book collecting or start collecting, anything, our Discord's a fantastic place to do that. Carly, when Harrison was on last week talking about the Discord, I was just looking at it again today about the amount of books that people are selling on there to people in the Discord.
I know.
It's just crazy. Like,
We've had
as
some
a translation
really good
collector,
stuff sell.
we have
really good stuff selling just within our Discord members. And
yeah,
I don't know. We just have such a fabulous community. Every day I flip through and I chat to people, and I'm just so proud of that community. It's
great. Well, and what I was going to say about that, what I noticed today is that there's a Gujarati and a Malayalam translation of Philosopher's Stone on eBay right now. And like our Discord members were on it. Like they know that there are other people in the Discord that are looking for those books, and the people that have them are like, hey, you guys, there's one on eBay right now. Like,
yeah.
They're really looking out for other people. It's so cool.
We take care of each other in there. Like I've personally messaged people in there and being like, hey, I saw this book. It's for sale. Here's the link. Or I'm going to be selling this book. You said you needed it. Here you go. It doesn't always work out that way, but we try to help each other out when we can.
Yes, which
even
is
in just
fantastic.
Like the bulk orders. Like I love that, because if you don't like to order from these countries and deal with, customs and the big ordering and sometimes translating all of this stuff with Google Translate, we've got people that are like, hey, I can just order that. We'll do a group order, bulk order. I'll mail it to you.
Yes. Simple Simon, Metapyman.
Yeah. It's one of the neatest places.
Since I said Simple Simon, that's all the time we have today for Dialogue Alley. So thank you for listening to this shorter episode that was still worth your time, hopefully. And we will be back, with our normally scheduled stuff. But thank you for sticking with us during this interesting,
kind of technical
random, technical difficulty time. But we really hope that you enjoyed this episode. We thank you so much again for your support. Just listening to this episode or any of our episodes is very supportive of our show, and we just want to be able to keep doing what we love doing, which is talking about Harry Potter books. So, with all of that being said, it is time to walk back through the archway and into our daily lives, and we will catch you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.